Hello everybody, welcome. If you're just joining us for the first time, my name is Chris and I do sewing and fashion design videos. This video is basically going to be about kind of continuing the little mini series. We're going to put that in quotations and we're not going to plan on it, but but we're going to say my little mini series about tension and how do you find out what your tension is supposed to be and what is it and how do you set it for your sewing machine. So in the previous video I talked about the tension for your brother or my brother's sewing machine that I have, and hopefully you have the same one, but most sewing machines like just your basic home sewing machines are about the same. So anyway, now I'm going to be talking to you about your Singer sewing machine, or the Serger that I have. And it's this one, this big old machine here. So you see it's a 4-thread and it's an overlock machine basically. And it does like roll hems and narrow hems and all the other stuff. It has all these buttons and stuff over here. To be completely honest, I don't know how to set everything on this machine as far as how to do the different types of stitching and yada yada yada. I just know how. I just have it set up to where I can just serge something if I need to and go on about my business. Okay? But basically, besides that, I want to show you how this machine works as far as how do you set the tension on it. I did a video a while back on how to thread it and also how to change the colors on the machine without having to unthread and rethread the whole thing. So watch that video if you need some help. But in this video I wanted to show you the little dials on the front. How do you set those? How do you set these dials? What are they for? And you know, why aren't they all on the same number? And do the numbers change? Those are some of the questions that I'm going to ask you. Because one of the things I have found out over time is that the numbers do change. They don't stay the same over time, especially the more you use your machine. If you use it a lot like I do, then gradually you'll have to continue tightening and tightening, or maybe the one that you used to have really tight, you might have to loosen it again, and it's a balance basically, because your two needle threads, which are these two, they're supposed to sew a certain way, and it's supposed to look a certain way when you finish sewing it. And I'll have a separate video about what the stitching is supposed to look like. But in this one, I just want to focus on the numbers and stuff. And for your, what is it, upper and lower looper, these will also change just depending on what the loops look like when you sew it. And so, but mainly you can pretty much start out about like I have mine here. With the first two on 5, the middle one or the upper looper on 4, and then the end one closer to 5. Now, of course, this is not perfect. This will just give you a starting place and help you narrow it down. Something that I have found out when I do it, like I told you a minute ago, they never quite stay the same. And we have like 2 sergers, I think, over here. Well, we have 2 sergers, and then we have a cover stitch machine, which I still have to figure out how to use because we need to know how to use that machine. But anyway, but the 2 sergers we have, these aren't the same on either serger, and it's kind of frustrating because if something happens and then we need to retune one of the machines as far as the tensions go, and then you look at the other machine for help, and then you set these numbers to the same numbers as the previous machine, it doesn't always work. So, that's frustrating, but it is what it is, and that's why it helps to know exactly what the stitching means and how it works. So I'm going to do a separate video for that. I just wanted to kind of introduce this machine, and I bet you this is really dirty. Let's look down here. How about this one? Yeah, it's pretty dusty in there. So that needs to be cleaned. But if you've ever looked in your machine before, you know this could get much worse. So this is actually mildly clean. I wish this thing would be a little clearer. So yeah, this isn't super horrible, but it's not great either. Just a little bit of dusting and stuff will help. Once again, if you watch the other video on how to thread it, you'll be familiar with some of this stuff in here. So anyway, it's very interesting how all of this works. And sometimes if your timing gets off, like I had one lady ask me about timing with your other machine, like your regular home machine, but it's the same process. For this machine, there's a timing which basically tells the machine, okay, this needs to intersect with this, and the needles need to intersect with the threads, and all of that needs to work at a certain time. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and all these things need to repeat over and over and over in a certain fashion. But if you have like 2, 3, 4, 7, 8, then that 2, 3, 7, 4, 8 is not going to work out for you when you're doing your thing. So if your timing's off, it's still going to feel like it's not working. But usually if you're starting with a brand new machine or a machine that you haven't used in a while, as long as it's not, as long as it's still sews and it still moves and everything, you should be okay. So anyway, hope you like this video. Please ask me some questions down at the bottom in the comments to kind of let me know maybe what questions I need to answer in the video when I do the videos about the threading, not the threading, but the way that the stitching looks with the serger and with the home sewing machine, just your regular basic sewing machine. So just to summarize, leave me a comment or a question or something to say what you want to see in that video so I can make sure that I tailor it. I'm going to try to think of some questions myself so I can have something to talk about, and I'm also going to try to think of what is it? And I'm going to try to include all the things that you want to hear about. But also, I want to say this really quickly. Make sure when you're threading this that you go through the disc, and that's a very important note to make on here. Let me get this little thing over here. I'm gonna point with my X-Acto knife. Okay. So if you look in here, if you see way down deep in between, okay, if you look here, there's like a crevice. You see 2 metal discs, one on that side and one inside there. And then there's like some kind of plastic, thing in the middle where the 2 discs kind of push against each other. That's where your thread needs to go. So if you're having problems with your tension and your threading, it's not looking right, it looks like that in all of them. Like this middle disc, you can see a little more easily. It's pushing out a lot more than some of the other ones. There are middle discs in each and every one of them, and all of this, if you don't thread it right, that's going to be one of the #1 reasons why your stitching is not coming out looking great. So if you're still stuck on your stitching is not right, and it could possibly be how it's threaded, not so much, if the tension is perfect. The tension may be okay already. It just might be, because it should come, what's it called? It should come with the tension settings already done for you so that you can just start sewing. But if you don't pull it down through here and make sure it's in there and not laying on top of the dowels, okay, if you don't pull it down through there and make sure it's not laying on top, then if you don't pull it down through there, then it's not gonna work right, and your stitching is always gonna be way too loose. And then make sure that these are going through here, perfectly like they're supposed to, and that it's going through your needle, and on the inside of the machine down in there, that you have all the loops and stuff threaded correctly. And that's gonna help make sure. And then even these little thingies back here, you need to make sure, you gotta make sure that your thread is going through each of these. Okay, so all of that stuff is kind of made so that it gradually picks up tension as it goes along throughout the whole threading process. And that might be your first issue. So check that first. And then, like I said, get to me in the comments. So leave me a comment and let me know what you think, what questions you have. And so I can make the next video and kind of answer those questions as I'm going along in the video, okay? So thank y'all for watching. I just dropped the little lid on from my pencil. So thank y'all for watching. Stay amazing and keep trying to sew, you know, because it's not that bad. It's not that hard, y'all. Once you get around the basics, it's not that hard. So anyway, thank you. Leave me comments. Talk to me. And I'll do my next video probably soon. Okay, bye.